Hello and welcome to the Green Voice podcast. I'm your host, Grant Ervin with S&B USA, coming to you from the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University in fabulous downtown Pittsburgh. Today, I got my friend with me, Nick Bonarrigo from Carmeuse. Nick, how is it going today?
Oh, it's awesome. And I will tell you, I have to say this at the outset. This is how much I like you, Grant.
Okay, all right.
It's noon on Thursday.
Yep.
Ish, right? You know what's happening right now?
What's happening right now?
Big East basketball.
Oh, my God.
And St. John's tips at noon against Providence.
That's your alma mater?
It is.
Oh.
And I'm here talking to you, Grant. So that tells you how much I like you.
Good. We'll be quick.
No, it's good.
Like, what time was tip-off?
Noon.
All right.
I don't know.
God.
Don't anyone give me any spoilers.
Do we want Wayne to get like a tracker going over here?
I can't because then I'll have to leave the interview. If it
we'll-
gets bad.
We'll get Wayne have his phone out. And we'll have like a ticker of like play by play. You know what's going on. So, Big East basketball is. Oh my God, I miss it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's not the same as it was, but it's still there.
It's still. Well, that's a good question. I mean, like, I miss
Not
it.
for Pitt.
Yeah, I'm a Pitt fan, right?
I
So
get
I miss it because of the Garden and the
Mhm.
teams that we had, and it's electric, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's just an energy, and you just go back through the history, like battles, like just elbows flying.
There have been lots of books written. I've read most of them. I mean, it's just it's history and it's fantastic.
And the history of that is a lot. At the time, a lot of the players were coming out of New York City, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that was the
For sure.
bit of it. I remember like who was it? Like Carl Krauser was a big pick guy.
Oh,
we had a
yeah.
bunch of New York.
Well,
City
you had
guys.
that tunnel because you had that you had an assistant coach here, which is bringing all the kids from New York,
That's right.
and that's what Pitt ruled the Big East.
It's true.
They did.
And then, well,
Hard times.
it's different times. It's different times. You know, and, I mean, this is not what we're going to talk about, but I want to talk about it. Like,
Why not?
I mean, it's tough to gear up for the tournament
Mm-hmm.
when you're not in the conference tournament.
For sure.
Like if your
Oh,
juices aren't flowing,
No, it's
I
impossible.
think it's tough to like catch a cold turkey.
But watch this. I'm going to segue into something that we could talk about. This is going to be interesting. I think the thing that's missing at Pitt, it's leadership, right? It's the coach.
Sure.
They need a new coach.
Yeah,
And I will tell you, as someone who was a St.
vision,
fan,
energy.
we were a terrible team. So, my years, I'm dating myself, but people could figure out how old I am. 97 to 2000 are the years I went there.
97, 2000.
Okay. So we were in the tournament every year. We had an Elite Eight run one of
Uh-huh.
those years. We were 2 seed another year. Great teams. And then it all fell apart.
Yeah.
And it was 25 years in the wilderness. We were a terrible team. And then we hired Rick Pitino. Okay. And then that was it. So starting from the top, we had the right guy, and we've been amazing for 3 years. So it shows you how fast leadership can change an entire culture.
I think that is a really amazing, but that was a good transition too.
Because it's exactly right. See, I told you, I will segue into something we could talk about today.
I mean, leadership is so important in that regards because it sets the tone,
Absolutely.
it sets the direction,
For sure.
and can breathe life into an organization,
Yes.
or vice versa.
Absolutely.
You could shift direction, you could lose vision, you could skip a beat, you
Yeah.
could the culture, the not the compass of a company can change.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, for sure.
I mean, that is Big East basketball might be like a good Harvard Business School kind of.
100%. And look, I see it. Let's give you an example from my own, like my business life now. We've gone through some leadership changes at Carmeuse.
Uh-huh.
Like we've talked about this in prior episodes.
Anthony wanted me to let you know, Nick, that sometimes to turn away from the mic.
You can't hear me?
You can't hear your final words of your sentences.
Okay.
So whenever you're doing a statement, just continue it through to Grant, and I
Okay.
can withdraw.
Got it. All right.
You'll edit that part out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're hot. We're good.
There it
All right.
It's more, I'm a bouncy person. What are you going to do? Oh,
I'm gonna give you an update.
Oh, boy.
Am I supposed to?
is it good?
28-13.
We're up? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. That makes this whole interview a lot easier.
See? And we're back. And so that was all pre-programmed. So
Yes.
that 28-13, St. John's is up.
Perfect. I'll take it.
But we're talking about leadership.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah, so we've gone through. Look, we knew this was coming. We have a family business,
right.
but at some point in time, the current chairman, who's a family member, was going to move on to other things. And, we have a new CEO who's not a family member, and he has brought his own sort of vision to the company.
Come from up through or
No,
outside
he actually
it?
came from outside the company, which is a very unique thing.
Okay.
It's not something that we as an organization, we've been in business since 1860 as a family-owned business. So that's not something that has happened often in that time.
Wow.
But he's come in and I don't want to say he's changed the culture, because it's, we've been around a long time. You don't change that culture, but he has certainly embraced what our culture is and made it a vibrant place to work, and has certainly positioned us for the future. And it's
Interesting.
been fantastic.
Where did he come from? Like what sector? Or?
It was an industrial sector sort of adjacent to,
Okay.
to mining. It was more on the equipment side. So
Okay.
and by the way, and in a prior life, he had a banking role, and he knew the company. So he knew us. He knew some of our
Okay.
folks.
He knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to keep that Big East analogy, if you go back to, I'll call it the golden years, right?
Yeah.
You had a series of top tier leaders like Lou Carnesecca, John Thompson, just names that are synonymous with basketball excellence.
Absolutely.
But I think what was interesting is that they shared a similar view of leadership, in that they were building a culture.
Absolutely.
Right. If you went to Georgetown, if you went to St. John's, or Syracuse with Boeheim, or like you're going to be a part of a program.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And look, they were always invested in the success of the conference. So it wasn't about individual teams. They always wanted whoever was doing well in the conference that year to do well on the national stage.
Right. Like if you lose out in, say, the Elite Eight, Syracuse to Villanova, Boeheim's rooting for Rolly Massimino
Every
in
time.
Villanova.
Absolutely.
Like there's a sense of pride there
For sure.
that exists.
Yeah.
In the corporate space, how do you replicate that?
I will say it can be on some level.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how. It's a little bit different because you're not competing in a sport. It's business. There's a profit motive. It's different. So you can't quite root for your competitors in that way.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are industry organizations. We're
Trade
a part of them.
associations.
Sure. Our competitors are part of that. And there are things that you can work together, whether it be, legislation that benefits the industry as a whole.
Right.
Issues like, health and safety issues. So you could share
Common cause.
best practices, because, look, we may compete on business, but I don't want you to have an unhealthy work environment for your people. So I can share some things that work well for us that you could maybe apply.
Because it could reflect poorly on the industry as a whole.
100%.
Yeah.
So there's definitely opportunity. You got to be careful, because there is that competition.
There's a fine line.
For sure. I mean, and that's where actually I come in, right? Because I'm in the legal department. So whenever you're talking to someone who's a competitor of yours, you always want to know, hey, can I have this conversation? Is this an okay one? It's antitrust laws and other rules, things that you shouldn't be doing. But there's a lot of stuff we can be doing, and we try. There's several organizations that we're a part of, and we do share.
What are some of those things that you saw with a new executive that nuggets that you could share? Not industry trade secrets, but like things that best practices in that transition from a family company to one where the leadership comes from the outside in. Were there a series of things that you saw that kept the train running in the same direction, but also maybe actions that he or the leadership team took that helped advance the company to where it is today?
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the things he understood, and I think anybody coming into this role should, is that there is a deep culture there, and it was a good culture. So you don't want to
collegialness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And people are important. They always have been. So you don't want to come in and say, hey, we're going to do things totally different.
Yeah. That upsets the apple cart.
That would not work at all. What he did instead was say, okay, here are all the things that we should be focused on. Here are priorities. And he distilled it, and his idea was a one-pager, right?
Okay.
And so we have this one-pager. These are the things that we care about, right? And there's metrics attached to them. And so what it does is you kind of put that on the bulletin board. Okay, well, these are our goals as a company. And they focus on things that are important regardless of where we're doing business in the world. So People's a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that we are a company that focuses on health and safety, huge part of it. There are also performance metrics, how much
Sure.
return on capital.
Return on
and all that stuff.
capital.
Sure, it's all
or-
important stuff.
Yep.
But, there's also what are we going to do on an environmental level for decarbonization? So
That comes from the top.
oh yeah, that's all part of it.
Wow.
Yeah, this is all part of it. So it's not just a focus on how do we grow our business. It's how do we do it in a way that's healthy, sustainable, that makes it a place that people want to work at,
Sure.
that keeps us all sort of moving in the same direction because we're happy to be at work.
Yeah.
And that's, to be honest, like it seems like such an easy thing to say, but if people aren't happy at their jobs, you're not going to be productive. That's just like the reality.
Well, and it goes to like the people quotient of it, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're showing up to work every day and you're not enjoying it, that's drudgery, right?
It's horrible.
Um,
I wouldn't do it.
no, it, like
Thankfully, I'm at that point. I just wouldn't.
yeah, well, it eats at your soul and it affects your health and well-being and your mental health.
Yeah.
It always there was I talked about this in a prior episode with another guest, but I had friends in the Danish energy ministry when I was at the city of Pittsburgh. We were doing work in district heating and sort of stuff and so we were engaging with the Danes a lot, and they had a phrase about putting all the oars in the water
Okay.
and rowing in the same direction.
Absolutely.
And I've always kind of gravitated to that analogy because you can imagine that, you can put all your oars in the water, but if you're rowing in different directions, you're not going to go,
No.
in a straight
And
line.
it's an interesting thing. We are constantly doing surveys. We're constantly polling our people.
Uh-huh.
And for a while, I just couldn't see the sense of it.
Okay.
And now I do, because with the things we're surveying them on is like, are you happy here? Right? Like, do you like this job?
Yeah.
Do you think we're doing enough to keep people safe at work?
Uh-huh.
And the feedback it's been excellent, but it's actually improved, right? So even when you take a number that's pretty high in satisfaction, you go, okay, but we can even do better than that.
Sure.
And we're finding that as you survey folks around the company, they enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's actually getting better. They're engaging more. And people seem pretty happy.
Or when you have the leadership transition, is the new CEO and the leadership team like taking that information into account?
Oh yeah. Oh, every day. You have to.
What's that process?
Well, I think the good news is again, the results have been pretty good.
yeah.
So what it
There's no red flag.
No, what it tells you is like, hey, we're doing a decent job at this. Let's keep
Stay the
doing
course.
this. But never lose sight of the fact that those numbers can change quickly.
Yeah.
So let's keep being positive and moving in the right direction.
There's a lot of talk about. We've had guests. From like Federated Hermes, for example, that are, doing a lot of work in stakeholder engagement. They're doing it mostly from like the folks that we've talked to about, they're doing it externally for investment purposes. But you're talking about this from an internal standpoint because your people are your stakeholders, right? Like they're
one of them.
they're one of the key cogs in the machinery to advance
Absolutely.
everything. Are you doing things other than surveys that are just gathering information or listening
sure.
tours or?
Yeah. Well, look, I think several different things. For one, in North America, I always think this is a silly thing, but it actually does work. And Denise, who I think you guys know pretty well in our organization, she has made sure that we follow this fish philosophy, they call it. And it comes from...
Hold on,
That's what-
FISH or PH?
No, it's with an F.
Okay,
fish.
with an F, okay.
And it allegedly comes from, in Seattle, the fish market where they throw in the fish.
Pike Place.
So and I've never been there, but the idea is like, hey, these are people at work, but they're still having fun while they're doing it.
Sure.
Right? So
You guys are like tossing limes?
we don't do that,
No, okay.
but we try to do other things. So whether it's, just Super Bowl pools or whatever.
Keeping it light.
Yes, exactly. We have a field day every year.
Uh-huh.
We definitely do things to try to keep the workplace be a place that you actually enjoy coming to.
Yep.
One of the things we've done since COVID, we have free pizza every Fridays.
Free Pizza Fridays.
People Wednesday, I should say.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
People love it. I mean, it seems like such a silly thing. Like, is that really a big deal? Well, guess what? It does matter to people.
It's important to build like that esprit de corps.
Yeah.
Right.
People feel valued. They feel like they belong. This is like a place they can come and, you know, you got to put in an 8-hour shift, but you enjoy doing it. So
are you doing things like, meeting groups or town halls or like,
well, that's an interesting question. Yes, actually we do. So one of the things that's a new initiative, and my friend Mike will love me talking about this because it was his initiative. So I'll give him all the credit. It's something that we call no meeting days.
no meeting days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it
Our
started.
team would love that.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Everybody does, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a great day. But the idea behind it was first born out of sort of our health and safety sort of initiatives. So the idea was at all of our plans, we'd pick a day once a quarter,
Okay.
and there's no meetings that day. Like, period. You cannot be in a meeting. And the idea would be that if you're working at the plant, you're part of management,
Yep.
you're not sitting in your office doing a Zoom call or a Teams call. You're out, you're walking, you're talking to folks.
On the floor.
Seeing how things are going. How's your day? You know, what are people doing? Are they doing the things right? Are they following safety protocols? All that stuff. And from there, it grew out to like, well, let's just see how people are doing in general. It's not even necessarily a health and safety thing. Just like, how do you feel about life? How do you feel about working here? How do you feel about whatever? Are we doing things right? Could we do things better? And so it grew from like sort of local management. The leadership team actually goes once a quarter and they'll go out to dinner. We can't cover all the sites. There's not enough of us.
Yeah.
But you sort of rotate, and the expectation is somebody from leadership will be on some site in North America on that day and just walk around talking to folks.
And it's not a scheduled activity.
The date is scheduled in advance.
Okay.
So people know, and so
you
you can make plans to travel.
So you hear terms like the unconference now. This is like the unmeeting.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So you're meeting in quote, but it's not a structured.
Oh, it's not meeting because I wouldn't call it a meeting because you're really just walking around. So even when leadership comes here, you're not giving a speech or anything like that.
Not a
You're literally
PowerPoint.
just walking around and seeing how people do their jobs. What are their days like, and what are the challenges they face? What kind of things do they think are working well? What isn't working well? So yeah, I mean, it's literally like hands on.
And with that, as a management team, like what types of insights are you deriving from that?
Yeah, well,
Like you're collecting. You're collecting data points, right?
Yeah, mental impressions. I mean, I think generally speaking, you pick up on the fact that people seem to be pretty happy in their jobs.
Yeah.
There are definitely things that people are concerned about on a health and safety level. I think, we have a lot of new employees, and sometimes that's a little bit harder for them to sort of embrace that culture.
Yeah.
So talking to folks, I think helps for sure.
It's difficult for them to embrace that openness.
No, I think it's difficult for them to think about health and safety when you're working. Like, it depends on, like, look, I'm a lawyer. If you stuck me in a plant, I'm sure I'd be the unsafest person on some level.
Yeah. Like, don't let Nick touch it.
Right, because he's not figured it out.
Yeah.
And, one of the challenges, if you think about sort of where our workforce is, younger people, they may have come from, McDonald's or Target.
Huge.
And they're coming to work now in an industrial situation. That's a whole nother level.
Right.
Not to say that you can't get hurt working at McDonald's, but you could really get hurt working at one of our plants.
Right.
So it's a different level, and you have to create that culture and make sure you bring them into that so that they're living that every day.
That's a huge bridge and good point for young people coming into industry or construction. It is a bigger leap.
Huge.
And I've heard this from a lot of our team members that, in the construction space, you've had folks that grew up in, maybe like an agricultural culture, or, dad was an electrician, or, so there's a little bit of like a history of hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Versus a lot of kids now that are coming in, maybe they went to a trade and technical school, but maybe not, right? And like they were at Bruegger's or McDonald's or, somewhere in the mall or something, and again, not that that's a bad job.
No.
But it is a leap.
It is.
Right? And how do we prepare people for that?
For sure. By the way, the flip side, just because I don't want to pick on young people, the flip side you often find is that people who've been in a job a long time, you can become complacent. So
Sure.
the other thing that I think as you walk around, you have these no meeting days, is to remind people
Uh-huh.
of what could happen, reminding people who've been doing it for a long time, like, hey, you need to be the kind of role model for some of these younger folks.
Yeah.
And you can't get complacent, because complacency is a thing for sure that is going to cause the most issues.
Well, because you got to have accountability, right? Up
absolutely.
and down I mean, that's such a key piece to any sort of safety culture, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the things that these, unmeetings and walkarounds and stakeholder feedback that you're gathering, like, how is that driving, the direction that your CEO has led and the executive team? But like, I'm just thinking, whether it's in the health and wellness space, I wanted to touch on innovation and some of the cool stuff that you guys are doing there. How's that shaping where you're pointing the arrow? That feedback.
Yeah, well, so I'm
Like, is that bottom up, top down? Is there a mixture of both?
I think it's probably a mixture of both. It always is. I think what it definitely demonstrates is that, to the highest levels of this company, people care about our folks, and that helps people be more
Right.
productive for sure. On the innovation side, we've got a bunch of different things that we're working on. I'm not sure that much of it has come out of this program, and that's not really the point of it.
No.
I think the point is, really to demonstrate that, hey, there is a culture here that we want to preserve, but we are doing a ton of stuff on the innovation side. I think there, when you get out, you get to talk to folks, they do get excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
And I get it. If you're at a plant level and you maybe don't see some of these bigger picture items,
Mm-hmm.
it's always like, so for example, we did a couple of acquisitions the third and fourth quarters of last year.
Okay.
One of the things we pride ourselves, we don't just like do it and then put like an announcement in the paper.
Yeah.
It's a terrible, terrible way to do things. We will do the announcement, but we will actually show up, as a leadership to the site and introduce ourselves to whoever it is. Right?
Yep.
And
Those domestic acquisitions?
yeah,
Okay.
correct. And we've done some overseas as well, but I'm just focusing on, just for our purposes of our discussion, the domestic stuff that we've done. And people want to see that. They want to know, like, well, who are these folks that are now in my life? Because this is going to become part of not just my life, my family. Like, this is my job, right?
Yeah.
So we've done that, and I think our integrations have gone really well, because from the very beginning we've sort of said to people, hey, you're part of this company, you're part of this culture now.
Yeah.
And we're demonstrating that because we're coming here and it's our CEO coming to say hello to you. Like,
Right.
you're a new guy. This is our boss, right?
Is that part of the due diligence process in an M&A for you?
Always. I mean, so
Like, you're looking at their culture.
always.
Yeah.
Always. And diligence is an interesting exercise, because in the course of a transaction, diligence becomes integration very quickly. So initially, you're just trying to figure out, where are the red flags? Where are the hidden landmines? But once you know the deal's kind of like going, now it's like, okay, how do
Like, it makes sense financially.
Yeah, like, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We haven't found any of those red flags. This deal's going to close. But now it's like, okay, well, once we do that, we've got 50 more people, 100 more people. So how do we integrate them into our business?
Wow. What are some things that you see? Again, you don't have to give out the secret sauce, but like, because you're doing a lot of this work on the M&A side,
do.
right?
Yes.
What when you see a prospective company, what are you evaluating from that culture standpoint?
Yeah.
Like,
So
what are the things you look at?
a couple things. One, we definitely look at sort of how they maintain their business,
Okay.
how they treat their employees. And that could be everything from looking at the kind of plans that are offered, what kind of stuff do they do beyond just sort of typical health and welfare plans for people. Definitely you're looking at their health and safety record, because that tells you about their culture.
Sure.
If you have a bad one, it doesn't mean you don't do the deal, but hey, I've got some work to do here to make sure I come up to our standards.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the kind of typical things that you see. How they comply with permit issues. I mean, all of this stuff gives you a sense for, is this a place that is working the way we are? Because we're a pretty sophisticated company, doing it a long time, very high standards for ourselves.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes you buy smaller companies, different way of doing things, maybe a little bit looser.
Yep.
You have to make sure that you could fold that in, and they're going to be able to meet that standard from day one.
On those, how difficult is it to bridge systems?
Well,
Like
you got to talk to an IT person. It's hard. That could be hard.
yeah. Like, on the IT side, if you
Yeah,
had different software packages, but
That's all complicated.
on the people side, though, like, everybody's gonna have like the same we'll say technical capabilities, but just what are some things you do to bridge cultures, I guess?
Yeah, well, you spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that
Physical presence.
absolutely,
Yeah.
every time. So somebody from, say, our operations side, if they're assigned, hey, this is now part of your territory, they're going to spend a lot of time there to meet those folks and to explain this is the way we do things. And look, I think the easy part for us has been, it's not a hard sell with the way we do stuff, I think. In other words, I think we're a good company. We do things the right way.
Right.
So if you're acquired by Carmeuse, this is just, again, maybe I'm biased
Yeah.
a little bit, but okay.
Yes, you should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. I think
You got a great vest on.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
It's got the logo and everything. I wear this all the time because I am proud. It's a pretty good deal because you see us and go, hey, these guys care about my safety. You
Yep.
care about me going home today. You care about what benefit plans I have and to make sure that, like I'll be able to retire safe. Like you care about these things. Like that's an easy sell to say to someone, hey, this is a great place to work. Come be part of this culture. It's not a hard sell.
not a hard sell, and particularly in a case where I would imagine that people have not reluctance but reticence in terms of like there's an uncertainty in an M&A, right?
It scares people.
Yeah, it scares people. I'm going from A to B and I don't know what B really entails, but to see that has to be really comforting.
Yeah, and it takes a while because look, it's like anything else. Someone will come in and say, "No, look, I'm your friend."
Yeah.
And you go, who are these people? There's always skepticism, right?
I don't know about this
Exactly.
Bonarrigo guy.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take time. It doesn't happen overnight. But I think because it's genuine, it's not like I'm not selling you on that. Like we really
Right.
are a nice place to work. They're good colleagues, good people. You will be listened to. It's an easy sell, and very quickly people start to realize, hey, this isn't like a talking point. This is real.
Right.
Um,
What about on the technical capabilities? Like when you make, whether it's an acquisition or, in the construction space, we have a lot of joint ventures, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine you guys have similar types of activities. Does that, how does that advance a deal? And then also, like, have you been in the situation where like, we're not going to go here?
Yeah.
Even if it technically makes sense, but like culture gets not in the way.
Yeah, well, we've been very fortunate. I think a lot of the things that we've invested in have been based on relationships. And so, the cultures might have been not quite on the same level, but I think we knew that on a baseline, this kind of made sense to do.
And again, goes
So
back to
these aren't
people in leadership.
These
right?
these aren't shots in the dark. Like
Yeah.
our targets are companies that we've known
Yeah.
some of their people, some of their executives for years, which is nice. It's not like we're some big corporation and hey, that looks like we don't even know these people, but hey, that the financials make sense. Let's go buy them.
Yeah.
We don't do it that way.
To maybe pivot a little bit, like, so you're making mergers and acquisitions, but also I noted the Carmeuse Ventures program that you guys have developed. I'm curious on that side, what was the origin of that?
Yeah.
But also like this is more homegrown sort of stuff if I'm reading into it, right?
Yeah. So look, I think the idea it's a great one, which is, hey, we've got opportunities in our own business. So we've talked about carbon capture in previous episodes, you and I.
Yep.
We've talked about all these different challenges that you face, and you need, to your point, new technologies. We could do that stuff internally. There are people out in the world that are already thinking about and doing these things.
Right.
So when
Thankfully.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And they're smart.
They're
right?
smart.
These are
Yeah.
real smart people that are doing this stuff. And so the idea behind Ventures was, hey, look, we need this technology. And we could compete or try to hire these folks and do it ourselves, or we can be the support that these folks need to get that idea off the ground, right?
Yeah.
So we're very, very targeted and specific. We're doing seed investments, Series A investments, so early stage investments for companies that have ideas that, in our mind, would have implications for our business, the industry, just honestly making the place a better planet.
Sure.
So the stuff that we've invested in so far has been carbon-based technologies. And we're investing, again, we're there. It's a little bit different because you're not really investing in the people per se. I mean, obviously it's the people that make it run, but there you're looking at, what is this technology? Does this make sense? Is there traction? Can this work? And often if the idea is, yeah, it could work if they get funding, well, that's where
you come
right? And that's only part of it. I think we also, because we do have in-house engineers, we do have a business. We try to partner, not just like, well, here's some money. It's like our people could also help you fine-tune your ideas and make them better as well. So it's a true partnership. It's not just a money thing, because we're not VCs. We're a business. We have our own strategic goals. So now we're just saying, here's a pot of money, see what you can do with it. We also want to say, well, how can we help you?
Interesting.
Utilize this technology maybe in our business for testing so that you can get it off the ground, or how else can we help you grow this technology?
I was involved in a program called PGH Labs, which was a thing that we created at the city of Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and it's gone through, I think, 10 or 11 seasons now.
Wow.
And similar idea, where it was early stage, no seed investment, but the investment was time.
Yeah.
Like, we'll let you, non-procurement, methodology come in and look at HVAC systems or lighting or, different things that like a local government might procure. And you had a series of like 8 to 10 companies that would come in before venture stage even. So they're nascent.
Yeah, really.
And I've always been fascinated now in terms of seeing who graduates and why. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Somebody might be like, yeah, this isn't it, or I get tired, or it doesn't work and I have to go back to the drawing board. Or it could be, no, this is something. And, we've seen a host of technologies now that have been derived out of that.
Yeah.
What's your structure? And I'm curious, because this is a corporate venture, like you're in the legal space, you have the engineers. What's your intake mechanism? And is it like farming or is it hunting? Like are you guys out seeking for opportunities? Are opportunities coming to you and then you're sowing those seeds?
Yeah, I think initially it's always a little bit of a hunting, right?
Okay.
There has to be.
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to do now, and you can pull it up on our website even, hopefully if you get enough publicity behind some of the investments that you're doing, then people will find you.
Yeah.
That's the hope, I think, long term. But for now, we're hunting, and we've got a great team that are literally that this is their job.
Yeah.
Go find these projects and see how we can get involved and see how we can help. So
that's interesting. I know, maybe share some knowledge here for everyone. Are you familiar with Rocky Mountain Institute or RMI?
No.
So I just came across them. Great organization, a lot of history in the energy space. Not that I'm doing a promo for them,
That's all good.
but I've been interested in that they have taken a similar type of tact in that they've done all the research. They write the white papers and the reports, and they have a bunch of smart people, and they consult and this and that. But they too have now started to take an active role in like, we need X. Right? Like, if we're going to get over kind of this chasm, or we need to build a bridge, or whatever kind of analogy you want, they have taken on the building of a similar type of portfolio of companies. And it's interesting what's coming out of that is that there's a lot of cross-pollination. So they'll see company X and company Y.
No question.
And they're like, hey, you know what? You should talk to, company X, you should talk to company Y, because they're experiencing this. Have you guys started to see that sort of dynamic?
It's early still, but I would venture that, no pun intended, but I think that will happen. And the reason I say that is because, again, our industry in many ways, it's large in the sense of what we produce.
Sure.
But it's small in terms of like the big,
not many people that do
players. Correct.
Yeah.
And so, as I said before, with our M&A, we're finding deals because of relationships that we have. I have no doubt, especially because we're looking at very specific technologies, that as we become a name, as we invest in these companies, as they become successful, it will be only a matter of time before these things start to find us.
Have you gotten to the phase where you've started to integrate stuff?
Not quite there yet, because we're early. I mean, we're truly early. Again, these are, but I mean, we are in testing on some things, so. I would venture to guess probably, not far off on that. On that side.
I think that's one of the things that is one of the big struggles and challenges with technology, is that you start to see, you can bring it into the fold, but getting it into the field.
Sure.
And that's I
Well,
always
first you need to be the winner, right? Like it's like VHS and Betamax, right?
Yeah.
There's always competing technologies. And by the way, in some of these
now you're
cases-
streaming.
Yeah, well, right. In some of these cases, I know I dated myself, but in some of these cases, we're investing in companies that are kind of doing competing things on the technology side, right?
Okay.
Because there's no reason we can't. And you hope that one of them is kind of going to emerge the winner.
Right.
So first you have to get to that stage before then you can even integrate and bring that into the field. To your point.
I always do. I use the analogy is you got to be able to hit the button.
Yeah.
And like we had one technology. This is again when I was at the city. It was a biofuel system that got attached to trucks. So you can do on one side you would have your diesel, on the other side you would have biofuel, and it's actually I'll share it. Optimus Biofuels is a local company, and a really great story because they've continued to expand. And the reason, in part, I mean, there's many reasons, but one of the things that we learned in our pilot with them was it was about hitting the button. And you would have, we were seeing low usage. I should be clear, this is when I was at the city of Pittsburgh. We were seeing low usage of the equipment, and we're like, what's going on? Like, why is this not happening? And it was the drivers. The drivers weren't hitting the red button to engage the system.
Wow.
And it was that simple. It wasn't like the widget didn't work or, whatever the case was. And so, the big feedback for them was there's a user engagement aspect that has to happen with the technology.
Yeah, there's just got to be a buy-in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We've seen the same challenge at S&B, I think, with the adoption of like electrification and electric vehicles. Like there's,
look, I'm hopeful.
The user needs comfort
for sure
and confidence.
Look, I'm hopeful because of the kinds of problems we're trying to solve and the kinds of technologies. I'm hopeful that will be. There'll be less friction at that point for us because we, you need the technology. If it works,
right,
we're going to hit that button every time.
Yeah.
In other words, right? Like, I don't think that's going to be, to me, it's developing the right technology that works at scale, at cost, right? Like it's got to make sense economically. But once you get to that point, hitting that button is going to be easy.
That leads me, I guess, another kind of piece of this puzzle. Like, how much of that in your technology innovation and couple that in the sustainability, because you guys have a great data culture also.
Oh yeah.
How much of the innovation space is around data and utilization of information? That's A.
Tons of it.
And then and then the B is, which every podcast conversation has it's like a prerequisite.
You go into AI.
Yep.
I knew.
Gotta go to it. It's like you're not allowed to have a conversation without it.
No.
But like data, artificial intelligence, what's that?
It's all. And, it's interesting because I was literally just having this
I thought you were going to be like,
conversation.
don't ask me about it.
No.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with we have Friday legal meetings, and this last Friday, I don't know how the topic came up, but we just started talking about it, just banter because it was a slow day.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that we all kind of noticed is like, you know what?
This is like a no meeting day?
No, this was just our normal
okay.
Friday meetings for just our legal team.
Okay.
And it was just this past Friday, I promise. I'm not even making this up. But the idea was, some people go, I'm resistant. I don't know. It just freaks me out. And I said, it doesn't really matter what people think. Because if they think they're not using AI, they're wrong. We use it every day.
Yeah.
We don't even notice it anymore. It has become so integrated in some of the things we do. Like I said, do you do a Google search? Well, you're using AI. Because that's literally the first thing that comes up now.
Yep.
Is whatever AI tells you is the answer.
Right.
And what I've noticed, this isn't like a company view, it's my view.
Yeah.
Where AI, I think,
the world according to Nick.
Good right now is exactly your point, is in how it manages data. Like that's where it's great.
Yeah.
Right. You could feed a ton of stuff into AI and get a pretty good summation quickly.
Yeah.
Where it's not good. I don't necessarily know that it knows what to do with that data. That's kind of where
you come in.
You still need people, right?
Yeah.
Because it could aggregate the information and make your job easier and faster, but it's not going to tell you this is what you should do. Or here's where you need to take this. It's not good at that yet. I don't know where this is going. Eventually it may think for us and do every other task. But for now, I don't see that. I see just the aggregation pieces being where it really is helpful.
Right.
And
how you make a prompt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for sure. Well, see, look, I'm actually going to be taking a class next week. I swear this is true. how to prompt the AI to get the answers you want. It's like a whole class I'm taking just on that, right?
Okay.
In the legal world, so specifically
Interesting.
for legal use of AI. But we're finding is, as a company, every single thing that we're using to upgrade our systems, it's all AI based or incorporated. So we have a contract management system that we're implementing into our legal field. Well, guess what? AI is a huge part of that.
From a search standpoint?
Finding clauses, finding, different links between different kinds of contracts. It's all built into the system. So again, even if you don't want it, it's there. And frankly, to me, if you don't figure out how to use it,
You're in trouble.
well, I think you're making yourself less efficient. And why would you do that? Because
Right.
it can't help.
Yeah.
Because it can pull things. It take too long for a human brain to do it, right? But we're using it so we're using this in our smart plant systems. We're using this with our machines where the AI will tell you, hey, you know what? Like crazy stuff. To me, it's crazy. This belt is a little wobbly. You should probably change that.
Wow.
That's what it'll tell you. It's like it's like I'm measuring simply the vibration of it. We'll say, and by the way, this could be a belt that say it has like a 12 month warranty or whatever.
Sure.
But 8 months in, it goes, no. Machine will tell you we're picking up some wobble
Which is a huge safety implication.
It
And
is.
productivity.
and productivity. So if you fix it now, then it doesn't break down. It doesn't take a week, whatever. So you've made yourself that much more efficient, that much more productive, all because of data that was picked up by a machine.
It's interesting. I just had a conversation earlier this week with the team at the University of Pittsburgh's Insights Lab.
Mm-hmm.
And, the conversation was around predictive intelligence related to infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And so specifically, they're thinking about utility infrastructure, highway, road, and bridge. And the conversations about how do you bring intelligence, in quotes, to kind of dumb, again, in quotes, infrastructure. Right. So like everyone assumes that, a bridge or a pipeline or, an electrical cable or something is static.
Never.
But, when you think about a bridge, there's precipitation,
For sure.
there's temperature fluctuation, weight, like all these sorts of things can become predictive analytics that go into a bridge maintenance program.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, wow, like
Mhm.
it changes the way, the other piece of it is design,
Mhm.
right? Like thinking in terms of, given that information, do you change the design or your construction cycle or the tools that you use or equipment that's, at your disposal.
Yeah.
I just think
It is.
there's a frontier.
But people are afraid of it, and the part I guess that's the part I don't understand. I mean, it's different, so I get that that's a fear, and it's not human, so that's definitely a fear too. But
Right.
on like an ethical level, but
Well,
yeah, right, it is. But to me, it's like if this is just data, if your fear is, by the way, the computers are going to take my job, that's where I think you're okay. Settle down.
Right.
You're either not very good at your job, or you're not thinking things clearly enough. Because if it's giving you data, somebody again still has to interpret it and then make a decision based on that.
Right.
Right now, I don't think the computers are doing that. They're just telling you, here's what it is.
Yeah.
You figure it out from here. And it's able to tell you, here's what it is on a very, small level,
Yeah.
very quickly. And that's very valuable to me.
You brought up the E word.
Uh-oh.
I-
I stepped in it.
No, I stepped on it.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that idea of ethics, because like what you're explaining makes a lot of sense in the sense that, we're still gathering information. And so why wouldn't you use it if you are given more information to make a better decision?
Yeah.
Right. So is it then incumbent upon humans to make that ethical choice?
Yes.
Right.
And how you use it is where I think the ethics come in. The prompts, things we were talking about before.
Right.
Because I've seen, look, you don't have to spend 10 minutes on the internet to see AI used in a very poor way. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Graphics.
seen videos and I'm like, is this happening?
Oh.
No, that's not happening. And it looks so real. And the idea that you could do that on a mass scale,
Crazy.
it's like Orson Welles' War of the Worlds
Yeah.
on steroids.
Exactly.
Right? Like beyond.
Like we've read this book before.
It's scary.
Or we've listened to the
It's scary.
the radio.
Yeah. And people are so connected. How hard would it be for something that's not real to trick a whole bunch. I mean, it's crazy. That's where, to me, the ethics come in. You can't use it for things like that.
So that's where I wanted to go with you then, and this is we're setting up for the next episode, but like the legal side of it, and which is the ethical component to it.
Sure.
Like, is there a regulatory structure or guidance, or
I think
thou shall contract with vendors, like those sorts of
no. I think the good news is we have a pretty well thought out legal system in America. In most places probably, but here it's pretty good.
Yeah,
And so I don't think that we have
a good old English common law.
Yeah.
So
playing
a role.
We don't necessarily have rules yet that will address AI, but there are things that are already in the law that will. So whether it's IP protections or, libel laws, all these things will help, I think, put AI into the right box and framework. Now, how do you sort of regulate over time? Because this thing is going to grow and become something even more than it is today. That's for our Congress to figure out, I guess, or local legislators. I'm not sure where that goes. But for right now, I think, have the tools to kind of keep it in its little box.
In its little box.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think that's a good place to kind of
Perfect.
keep us honest and keep us straight. Nick Bonarrigo, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you're doing in Carmeuse and being a great member of the community.
Thank you.
Thanks for those insights, and thank you for listening in to The Green Voice. My name is Grant Ervin with S&B USA. Thanks for listening, and we'll check you out on the next episode. Be well.
Thanks. Bye.